marching band, I had done it all 4 years in high school. It's a very interesting story. I'd done 4 years in high school, tried out for drum major each year with marching band, and it was fun. I loved high school marching band. I was like, oh, this is great. And then, but I made the conscious decision in college not to do it because I said I didn't want to do marching band. I wanted to like grow my leadership skills. UVA is where I need to get my study on. I'm going to focus on my goals and my academic goals and my leadership skills and things like that. So one day I could do my pet like goal and run for office or something, like a local office or whatever. And then I found out there was a marching band, and I said, okay, I'll do this for like one semester. Because I didn't think I would like it. Ben DeForest was my section leader in high school, and then he was in college, and he said to me, you should try it. And so I said I'd do it for one semester, and 4 or 5 years later, I was still with the band. So it was an awesome experience. Like, it didn't influence my reason to going to UVA, but it really enhanced my reason and why I loved UVA. I went down to see the C&B perform one game. I don't want to say it was like Florida State. It was something else. And I got to sit behind the band with Tiffany Hornsberger. And because she had emailed me, called me, said, hey, Rodney, come on down. I was like, didn't know I was being recruited, but which I guess I was. But went down. It was like so exciting. My parents were like, have fun. It was like, oh my gosh, my first college weekend. And we lost. Typical UVA. Lost. But it was very fun. It was great. I really liked the music that they were playing. Really liked that stuff. After that I got a CD. So I had the first marching band CD. And that's where I started saying to myself, okay, let me try this for one semester, see if I like it. That kind of thing. And then I remember, so at orientation I met Matt and Kate. Matt Peleus and his wife Kate Peleus. At that time she was Kate Jones. I met them, and Kate was like, oh, we started talking, and she was like, oh, you're going to be the band, we're going to be in the band. And I was like, what section are you on? Saxophones. And she was like, hey, Matt, this guy's going to be in our section, we're going to get to know him. And Matt, is just walking, not paying attention. Oh yeah, cool, whatever. And just continues to walk like he doesn't want to even be noticed by me. And I was like, okay, all right. And then you get to the opening day, and opening day was great. So many faces, and I remember asking Ben DeForest, I was like, what should I do? He's like, mingle, have fun, meet people. And I was like, Ben, this is ridiculous. I just remember most of that day sticking close to him. It was an awkward first day for me. The CMB fit into my experience, very well. It gave me a social starting and a plane of friends. That first week before band camp made me feel so much more comfortable about college, because once I moved in, I had a lot of friends already. And I remember on the first day, after we had all moved in, getting a call from Bailey, Ockard, or talking to Morgan Johnson, who's now Morgan Romeo, and just talking to them about oh yeah, we're gonna hang out, oh we got practice, and so that first practice after classes had started or school had started, you're like, oh my gosh, this feels natural, this feels helpful, and it really allowed me to establish myself socially, because then I could move on and do things like the university guide service. I probably wouldn't have done U Guides if I wasn't in the band and I didn't know Brian Myers. So, that helped me to be established socially. And then it became, get your work done, from 6 to 8 on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Wednesdays you're gonna be booked, so don't book any evening classes. It just became a part, the practices became a part of the routine, but then they were not. This was special time, you're gonna have fun with your friends, even though you may suck at the marching and suck at the music, hey, it's gonna be a fun time, So it fit in very well for me, very well. At Jacksonville, we practiced for the parade, and we did I believe we did all left-hand turns practicing for that parade. And it was we marched around the cage practicing for this parade, left turn after left turn. And then we get down there and someone's read the back row because all we do is right turns. So pissed. I was like, we practiced in the cage for 2 hours straight doing left turns, and all we're doing is right turns. So pissed. I laugh about it now, but I was very pissed at that point. That kind of stuff. you have the perception of it being perfectionist, and I get that. But you know, like, sometimes it was hard, like, especially when you were studying and things were going on in your life, like, you just, at the end of the day, you just don't want to go to practice, like, or, you know, didn't want to get yelled at by P's for something, or didn't want to get yelled at by Cook for something, or Itzier, you know, and, you know, it just, you know, sometimes those little things that are not a big, huge incident, but sometimes those little things are what, like, nitpick. But, you know, ultimately, those are outweighed by the huge big things and the huge, you know, fun times. Because I was student teaching, like, my grad work required me to, you know, not be at, I couldn't make some things. I'd have to be at, you know, back to school nights, or meetings were after school sometimes. Parents may have wanted to call a meeting with me, and or something like that. My schedule was, I talked to my advisor, and she said, I mean, you could work it out if you really wanted to, but you're going to be stressed and pushing yourself. And I said, yeah, I think so too. So I decided I could not be at UVA and not help the band or be around the band in some function. So I just remember those first couple of days at band camp was the first couple of days at school for us. And it really, like, I was so sad, kind of. I was trying to be, like, tough, like, oh, like, I'm not at band camp or anything. And then I remember getting a call from Josh Richards, and he said, hey, you want to come judge, like, what was it, scavenger hunt? I was like, sure, I'm free tonight. He was like, okay, good, because I haven't seen you in a while, like, because during the summers I would go off and work summer camp, and Josh was, you know, the head grad assistant that year, and, you know, like, we texted, but we hadn't been able to talk, so he invited me. And for, like, so he's like, get here, like, at this time. I was like, it's like an hour before the thing starts, right? He's like, no, yeah, just get here. And so we spent, you know, that hour just catching up, and he was telling me all the band camp stories, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious, I'm missing. And then I was actually able to judge, and that was funny. And then I got involved more often, and then I became a grad assistant. It's really different being on the support side, because those are, like, for a lot of things for the band, like, it just, for when you're marching, you don't think about it. You don't think about, like, who's gonna be there. You just know, for instance, I had to do, on game days, one of my responsibilities was to count everybody that comes in at O Hill, because that's where we were eating. And we needed a specific number so that we knew how much we would get charged. And so my job was to stand at the thing and count. And, you know, I say hi to people, greet people, smile, like, and I think most of them didn't know I was doing that. Like, they thought I was, like, the host or something. And I just standing there and greeting you, oh, hey, because the clicker was in my hand, and I was just like, oh, hey, how you doing, oh, blah, 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 you know. And so I was doing that, but those are the kinds of things that you don't see, like, or, like, making sure all the tuba stands were there, and Glenn Johnson making sure that happened, or Grandpa Dick making sure that those tuba stands were in the stadium and ready and covered. Like, the small things that, you know, you're just marching, you're trying to put on a performance and trying to remember if to play a C sharp or an F, you know, but those things, like, that you don't have to worry about get taken care of by so many people on the support side, and, like, Julie Massey and Glenn and Grandpa Dick, like, those people worked their butts off. And, you know, I had to become part of that, and Josh and I, you know, became part of that and did that and worked really hard, and I enjoyed it. I loved it because I like service and helping people out. But, you know, you just don't think about that. You, like, and that makes you, in the future, you know, when saying thank you a little bit more, or being grateful a little bit more, and I understand why there are later nights and things like that, and I get why, you know, as a student sometimes you could have been frustrated about something that was happening, and then not realize that, you know, on the opposite side, there was reasons why we couldn't do certain things, or why we couldn't play at the president's house every, you know, game day. When did we go play at the president's house every day? We can't do that. Like, I mean, we have a schedule to keep. They change things. You know, they cut halftime sometimes, like, and give us only a certain amount of minutes, so we can't play extra tunes or something. You know, those are the kinds of things that you don't know as a marcher. As a marcher, you're focused on music, marching, having fun. support staff, you're focused on helping, doing the grunt work, you know, being there if Pease needs to yell at somebody or have a sounding board. Like, those are the kinds of things that you do, and it was fine, it was fun, it was good. My relationship with Dr. Pease is awesome. He's a great guy. He is definitely the good cop, the dad, you know, the leader. He has that kind of thing. But he's very, what I liked about him, and I told him this, is that for me, he was very approachable. Like, I could go into his office at any time and just say what I was feeling and talk to him about that and say like this is what I think is wrong, why are we doing this? Like as I got like a third year, fourth year, and even as a fifth year, I was able to do that because he's very approachable. That's him. He's very approachable. That's his style. And you know, he has a certain ways of doing things, but you always understand that it's for the betterment of the band. You know, you understand that. Cook, he's a great guy though. He really is. Well trained in music. He's very professional up front. He puts on a very professional face, but when you're like just chilling or working at a table or working on things in band, he's very relaxed, easy to talk to, you know, like, but he has the reputation of being the bad cop. Like, I mean, for instance, I'll give you this story, and I'm talking about stories, but it's great. We were practicing for Jacksonville, okay, and it's like December, cold, and so they split up the woodwinds and the brass. And the brass is outside working on marching for about like 10 minutes, while the woodwinds are working on music inside. Then we switch. And I'm sure we were out there for like an hour, cold, like some people weren't even playing. I was like, I can't even play. And Cook goes, can we just try that one more time? The woodwinds went, no. And we did it anyway. We did it one more time because he asked. That preps his reputation as being the bad guy. But he's really a nice guy. Like, you need to know him. He's a nice guy. And then Michael Idzier, he's Idzier. Like he wants to be the Pease of the future. At the time, I thought that. He's a really nice guy though. Sweet, funny. He was a couple years older than us in college. That's why like he wanted to portray himself as, you know, like older and dignified. But it was like by the fourth, fifth year, he was like when I was older, he was like one of the boys and like just hanging out. And he knew his stuff. And the one time we went to help some middle school kids, and he was like, "This is what I want to do. I want to conduct middle school." I was like, "These kids sound horrible. Why would you want to do? I would never want to conduct." And he was like, "No, but you get to train them and give them the good basics and fundamentals." And I was like, "Well, you're a good man, Michael. It's your."